Alright, so let's talk about old Doctor Who versus new Doctor Who, because there's a difference. And there's a difference between the expectation that the fans have for those two shows. In fact, I recently tried to watch the very first episode of Doctor Who, like the one with the first Doctor. I could barely get through it, and I was like, how did this show get for so long? But different times, different expectations. In fact, I once made a video talking about how the show writer for the 13th Doctor didn't do a good job, and that writer talked about how, oh, well, you know, when my show's done, everybody should just forget about it. And I was like, well, that means he knows he didn't do a good job. And then this gentleman made a video saying, no, you're wrong, you don't get Doctor Who. The whole thing about Doctor Who is there is no canon. So after one Doctor, it's just poof, you know, whatever, they'll take whatever and go to the new one, but there is no canon. And people were in the comments agreeing. And I feel like, not that he's, well, I'm not trying to start anything, but I feel like the showrunner was incorrect in what his expectations were for New Who. It's as if he was writing for the old Doctor Who, not the new Doctor Who. You see, in old Doctor Who, apparently, it was like that, where one would maybe screw up, or they introduce some concept that they didn't like, and they would just be like, we're not gonna do that anymore. That doesn't matter. That's in old Who, they would just take the parts that they didn't like and just leave them in the past and move on. Kind of like in comic books, superhero would do some crazy feat and then it wouldn't make sense in the next comic. But we all know that doesn't fly in the MCU. And likewise, that stuff doesn't fly in the New Who. In fact, I personally feel New Who, the big thing about it is the canon. That's what we come for. And I feel like that thought is best embodied by Dr. River's song. That is the reason that I started watching the show, was because that storyline was so interesting to me. That you had this character that went from one doctor and had, you know, shenanigans, did whatever with him. Went to another doctor with, you know, that new doctor's distinct personality and still had a relationship and had that continuity all the way through. That's one of the biggest draws to me. It's why I think one of the best decisions they made on Doctor Who was having Rose Tyler be the companion for both the 9th Doctor and the 10th Doctor, as opposed to just finding a whole new thing and just throwing everything in the trash. It established, yeah, there is a continuity. These are the same person. We're in the same universe. They're not just putting stuff in the trash. Instead, it counts to watch for every detail to see if it comes up later on. That's the fun of it. And if I'm being honest, I think that difference in expectation is what made it so hard for the 9th Doctor to be successful. Because again, old Doctor Who had very different things that it valued. It valued the campiness. It valued that crazy sci-fi, anything could happen, it doesn't matter what happened before kind of vibe. And so we get scenes like this from the 9th Doctor. But I feel like Matt Smith's run is such a great jumping off point, because I feel like that was the final completion of the transformation to listen. Now we are in New Who. This is New Who vibes. We have lore, we have continuity, we have a Doctor with heart. The 9th Doctor was stuck between the two. The 10th Doctor was transitioning into like what we know and love about New Who. And Matt Smith's 11th Doctor is the fruition of that, and it continues from there. Anyway, that's what I think about the difference between old Doctor Who and new Doctor Who. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.